Ramasri Social Classes. This is your Ramasri and I came with a few new topics, new subtopics of Mughal Empire. See, before that, how are you all? Hoping happy and healthy. Right. See, part 1 is over, now part 2. Let us see what are the key points of part 2. First one, Mughals' relations with other rulers. Mansabdars and Jagirdars, Jat and Jamindars. A close look at Akbar's policy, the Mughal Empire in the 17th century and after. The most important thing or key point of today's class, that is bullet points for DSC aspirants. Friends, I am focusing more and more on DSC aspirants. See, I want to help you more. So that's why I am stressing here about the DSC aspirants most. Let us start today's subtopics of Mughal Empire part 2. Right. Mughals' relation with the other rulers. See, in India, those times, many kings, many places, several kings and chieftains over India. And here, Mughals started to sort out under control of them. They stressed many rulers and chieftains to come under their authority. And here, they allowed older kings, those who have big kingdoms, allowed them to rule their old kingdoms and to collect revenue from the people. And they took most control them, and they take care of the old kings not to get any conflict or revolts over that areas. The Mughal rulers campaigned continuously to suppress the revolt areas and those who are not accepted the authority of Mughal rulers. And here it became very powerful kingdom in India. So many big kings and chieftains voluntarily they joined into Mughals. For example, Rajput kings. Right. And here, but Mughal families, many families are related with the local families and they got married with the local ruler daughters. And some were also resistant against Mughal Empire. For example, Shishodaya Rajputs of Chittor, they refused to accept their authority. Means after long time, they finally accepted their authority. And here, Mughals did not stop to control over other kingdoms, and they continuously suppressed other kings, those who are not accepted their authority. Right. See, Shishodaya kings, after long struggle, they accepted their authority. But many places also refused. But once they accepted, they given back their assignments for responsibility, for collect taxes from those areas. But they did not allow completely. They did not allow them completely. Means Mughals were focusing more, because once they refused their authority, see, there was a chance to take again to refuse or create any revolt against the Mughals. So that's why they took more careful this kind of regions. Next, the Mughals married princes of Rajputs for friendship. They continue. For example, Jahangir's mother. She's a daughter of Rajput's family, belongs to Rajput family of Ambar, which now called as Jaipur. Next, Shahjahan's mother, she is also daughter of Rajput ruler of Jodhpur. And these two examples we can take under how they bond the relationship with the Rajputs. See, not only Rajput, the local kings, they wanted relation for friendship. Next, Mansabdars and Jagirs. Next, Mansabdar and Jagirdars. So Mansabdars and Jagirdars. As empire expanded to encompass different regions, the Mughal recruited diverse kind of people to take care of these areas. As it nuclear kingdom of Irish Iranian, they captured Indian Muslim areas, Afghanistan's Rajputs and even Marathas and other groups. Those who joined Mughal service called as Mansabdars. Those who joined for the service of Mughals called as Mansabdars. They directly under control of Mughals. See here, Mughals are always ready to give orders to them to maintain their palace or to capture other kingdoms or other areas and to governing provinces, suppressing rebellions. At any work they are usually using Mansabdars. Mansabdars also called as rank holders. Very important. Who were Mansabdars? Mansabdars were those who were joined for the service of Mughals called as Mansabdars, also called as rank holders. We have to remember, it's very important. Right. Next, the Mughal developed a political system which Mansabdars were not Mughal emperors developed a political system which Mansabdars would not act independently. They would not act independently because we have seen in Vijayanagara kings, they provided them independence. But what happened? They declared themselves as kings and they opposed Vijayanagara kings of authority of Vijayanagara kings. So that kind of issues were not allowed by the Mughals. That's why they did not give any independence of Mansabdars. Always they are under control of them. Next, here Mansabdars also have to maintain armed force, a special kind of horse riders. They have to get a review of every time to get the salaries. Right. So cavalry, I think you know it. It's nothing but horse riders. They have to maintain for their army. To suppress them, they transfer for every 2 or 3 years once, so that they did not get any power or authority on local people. So such kind of political system introduced by Mughals. Now the Mansabdars' son did not get this authority by hereditary, because the post or the position of Mansabdars were introduced by Mughals. So that's why the sons did not get the authority by hereditary. And even the property after death of Mansabdars, the son did not take any property of his father. See, what actually the sons or daughters are gaining after death of their parents, complete their property will goes to sons or daughters. But here, Mughals took very care on the properties of Mansabdars. Right. So Mansabdars received their salaries as revenue assignments called Zagir. It's what it is. Zagir means revenue assignment. Revenue assignment is nothing but land. Assignment nothing but land. Did you get my point? Mansabdars received salaries as assignments, revenue assignment. Revenue assignment is nothing but land. This assignment is called as Zagir. And this Zagir will take care of Zagirdars. These Zagirdars were officials which are implemented or recruited by Mughals. And here, these Zagirdars are different persons. Mansabdars were different. Did you get my point? So Mansabdars got the salaries as revenue assignment land manner. That land is not, either they are not living or not collecting any taxes. What they have to do? So just they have to give the jagir to the official to collect the taxes from them. And jagirdars also recruited by the Mughal families or Mughal empires. And here jagirdars, these people also, they transfer from one place to another from every 2 years or 3 years, because they also there was a chance to become very strong or powerful persons. That's why they also got their transfers now and then under Mughal empires. In Akbar's rule, the jagirdars were maintained by in Akbar's rule, the jagirdars maintained well-versed. Means Akbar took very care about the jagirdars. Understand? So how many places were there? That many jagirs were there. But when Aurangzeb came for ruling, and then the number of jagirdars increased. The land is very less, and the number of jagirdars were increased. Then these jagirdars they were waited to get the authority. Jagirdars were more, but the land is very less. Then what the people were did? Jagirdars forced people and farmers to collect the more taxes. But with the Akbar's rule and Akbar's time, Akbar took more concentrated. They took more careful that not to collect more tax from the farmers and as well as people. But when he came, Aurangzeb came for ruling, he cannot control the jagirs more. Because more number of people were there, land is very less, the jagirdars wanted to gain more and more the same persons. So that's why people were very struggled. Farmers were very much struggled under rule of Aurangzeb. Right. Next, Jat and Jamindars. Jat and Jamindars. The main source of income of Mughal rulers is produce of peasantry. Peasantry is nothing but farmers. See, the tax on production is the main resource, main income for Mughals. But here, when Akbar came for ruling, he fixed a tax on produce for 10 years, the period of 10 years in 1570 and 1580. How the tax was fixed on crop. See, different crops are grown by the farmers. Based on the crops, how they fixed the rate on crops, let us see. Here, Revenue Minister of Akbar was Todarmal. Here, Todarmal did a survey based on crop yield, prices and area cultivated and the production which is they cultivated, how much the production was. So, based on these three things, the Todarmal was fixed an amount on crop. And the fixed amount was continued for 10 years. The system, the revenue system called as Jat. What is a Jat? Jat is a revenue tax fixed by the Akbar. Fixed by Akbar, very important, Jat. It's a tax on production. Where it is? Production, not on land, production. Right. And here, actually, few years back, the responsibility, actually generally, people usually pay taxes to the headman of the area, in villages usually. Headman of the village or chieftains. And these chieftains or headmen of the village, Mughal rulers were given a term. The term was Jamindar. What they given term? Jamindar. Means Jamindar. Who were Jamindars in Mughal time? Chieftain or headman of village. Headman or chieftain called as Jamindar. Who given the term of Jamindar? Given by Mughal rulers. Right. Actually, these Jamindars took the authority to collect the taxes from the local people and given to the Mughal people. But most probably, the Zamindars were actually representatives of people. Representatives of people. When time was very bad. When the kings were suppressing the farmers or people for the tax, then the zamindars were added to the farmers and they created revolt in those areas. See, in 17th century, we had, Mughals were experienced a great revolt called as Zamindar Peasant Revolt. Zamindar and Peasant Revolt in end of the 17th century. Right. So, Jat means it's a tax, revenue tax fixed by the Akbar. Zamindar, it's a term given by Mughals for the chieftains or headmen of the village. Next, a closer look at Akbar's policy. See, a broad features administration led by the Akbar, and he discussed with his friends and the members of court about administration. Here his close friend Abul Fazl, and he written a book, Akbar Nama. What he written? Akbar Nama. See, very important. Abul Fazl written a book, Akbar Nama. It is nothing about Akbar, the administration of Akbar and his his religion policies of Akbar and etc. Abul Fazl written in the book Akbar Nama. Right. And actually, while Akbar was started his ruling in 1570, he discussed about religion. Actually, he is very much interested about religion, faith and diverse customs of the country. So he called for discussion all the religions of the world. For example, Muslims, he called Muslims, Brahmins and Zoroastrians who are Roman Catholics and Jesuits priests for discussion, for religion discussion. Actually, what his plan? He wanted to get all these religion under one roof. Under one roof. It is nothing but one religion. And this religion is based on one policy, that is faith, justice, peace. Honesty, justice, peace. So these three policies, based on these three policies, the new religion wanted introduced in the society by Akbar. That new religion is called as Sul-e-Kul. What it is? Sul-e-Kul. Sul-e-Kul means universal peace. Universal peace. To get universal peace, Akbar introduced Sul-e-Kul because India is a vast country where contain more number of religions, caste, creed. So all together, not to discriminate other religion or people, they wanted to give equal importance to each and every religion and person irrespective of their religion. So that's why Jahangir and as well Shah Jahan also continued the same policies under governance. And here Sul-e-Kul, universal peace, continued by Shah Jahan and Jahangir. But whereas Aurangzeb came for ruling, he actually represented himself as favoring of Sunni Muslims. Favoring of Sunni Muslims. So this was angered by the policy, angered by the other kings, which was followed by Aurangzeb. Actually, what up to their grandfather and fathers, they followed the same rule, universal peace, but he was opposed the policy and he favored the Sunni Muslims. And actually, Sul-e-Kul. About Sul-e-Kul, Jahangir said about Sul-e-Kul what his father introduced. what he said about this Sulhikul, universal peace. See, a Christian will goes to church and Muslim goes to mosque, and even Hindus or Brahmins will go to temple. But here, all these kind of different religion people are comes under one roof, and that is Sulhikul, universal peace. What a great plan done by his father. Okay, so like that he prized about this religion. Now, the Mughal Empire in 17th century and after, with the great administrative and military efficiency of Mughals, though economic and commercial prosperity they got. The international travelers were prized them as they described fabled wealth land. Fabled wealth land. But here the same travelers were appealed at the state of poverty that existed contrast to the greatest wealth. See, the same traveler said about the greatness and wealth of Mughals, and the same traveler said about the poverty which is present in those kingdoms. See, up to Shah Jahan means the poverty was started under ruling of Shah Jahan only. So briefly, we can see about Shah Jahan constructed many monuments and he kept huge money for the constructions. So people were very much struggling to pay the taxes and amount as tax manner. So then they tasted the poverty under Shah Jahan's time. Right. So here, one more example they given. When Jahangir came for ruling, when Shah Jahan came for ruling, the Zagirdars number was declined from 445 out of 8,000. See, so when Shah Jahan came for ruling, the rank holders number from 8,000 to decline to 445. Means people were unable to pay their tax, and the land revenue tax was very less and production tax was very less. So poverty we can see by the seam of this number. Slowly the decline started from that period itself. The poorest peasantries were very much struggled under Mughal rulers, but the wealthy farmers, their production was well. Here, the bankers and rich peasantries become very profitable in those periods, and slowly started revolts here and there, and many places they declared independence and they started their ruling. For example, Hyderabad and Awadh, these two areas, they declared themselves as independence from Mughal rulers, and they started ruling. But here they accepted that the king of Delhi, Mughal ruler who is ruling Delhi, and he was the leader of them. Means that he was the master of them till 18th century. So 18th century. By the 18th centuries, the many provinces under Mughal rulers, they declared themselves independence and they started their ruling. So here, that is about Mughal Empire after 17th century, and even they got the political identity also. And the important and interesting point of today's topic, that is bullet points for DSC. So those who are going to write DSC examination, friends, here there is no need to go to point wise and point to point. You have to do the smart work, because I think you had the many years experience to read the textbook from corner to corner. Now, the smart work is very important. So, bullet points are very important for writing of DSC examination. And here, from this part, and in part 2, we can take few bullet points. For example, Munsabdars. So, first, Munsabdars. What actually Munsabdars? Who is Munsabdars? So, Munsabdars, those who are joined for the service of Mughals, called as Mansabdars. Mansabdars were not independent one. They were not independent one. Okay, so they were not recruited by hereditary, recruited by directly Mughal rulers. Right. Remember that, Mansabdars. And also called as rank holders. Who were rank holders? Mansabdars. Right. Next, Jagir. What is the meaning of Jagir? Jagir is a revenue assignment. Revenue assignment is nothing but land. Those who are maintained these Jagirs called as Jagirdars. These Jagirdars, who were Jagirdars? Jagirdars were the officials recruited by Mughals, and these people also not came as hereditary manner, recruited by Mughals. Remember. Next to Jat. What is Jat? Jat is a tax on production by peasantry. Means those farmers are protecting some production. So tax and production. Remember, tax and production for 10 years. The period of 10 years. The period of 10 years. So 10 years, all these points just keep aside. Just it's a tax on production. Tax and production introduced by, who introduced? Akbar. That is important. Who was the revenue minister of Akbar? Todarma. That is important. Jat is a tax. It's a tax on production. It's very important. Jamindar. Jamindar, it's a term given by Mughals for chieftains and headman of village. Right. Next. Right. What were these Todarma surveyed? On which aspects? On which parts? Or which aspects he collected taxes? 3 points are very important. That is crop yielding, price, the area cultivated. Based on these 3, they took the tax on production. That is also very important. Right. And some more important persons, important points from textbook. That is Munsabdars. Same the points which I gave generally. Munsabdars are nothing but rank holders. Jamindars, hereditary chieftains. See, Mansabdars are not hereditary, gain the position. Jagirdars also not gain the position by hereditary, but Jamindars or get the authority by hereditary. Right. Next, Sisodaya Rajput. Sisodaya Rajputs belongs to Mewar. Mewar, remember, who was opposed the authority of Mughal ruler. Two areas they opposed. One is Sisodaya Rajput and Rathod Rajput. These two were opposed the authority of Mughal rulers. And Sisodaya Rajput kingdom was Mewar. Rathod Rajput kingdom was Marwar. Right. Next, Akbar. Akbar implemented a new religion, that is Sulhi-Kul. Sulhi-Kul means universal peace. Who was the one and only person present in this area? Who was the one and only Hindu religion person in universal peace? He is nothing but Todarma, his revenue minister. Jagirdar. Jagir is nothing but, it's a place. Revenue assignment. Revenue assignment. Jagirdar means officials who are take care of Jagir, who take care of land. Revenue assignment or land. Both are same. They are getting confusion. Okay, getting us confusion. But the word is same. Right. So these are the important points of part 2. Hoping you better understand. So if you have any doubt, you can comment in comment box. So if you like my video, please give me thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. Right friends. So till then, bye bye. Thank you.